we can actually help people out and make this the most, make this the best tonight, because I know there's a lot of questions. I know there's a lot of challenges out there, a lot of worries and concerns. So, all right, so let's start out. Again, I think the one thing that we got to recognize is tonight, the whole reason for we're doing this tonight, you guys, is to be able to take and help you guys do your very best to take care of you, to protect your family, and help you guys in preparatory for the things that are coming. The thing is the first and the foremost thing that we need to do, and we need to take and recognize is this. Number one, I mean, we know there's a lot going on. There's a lot of things media-wise that is going on and happening right now. There's a lot of questions you have. There's a lot of unknowns. There's a lot of things that we don't know. And that's one thing that we need to recognize is the fact that, hey, there are a lot of things we don't know about this. But we do know there's some things that are pretty scary out there as well, too. And one of the most important things is keeping our head. Now, I know that one of the questions that people have is like, oh, what do I do for virus? What do I do for infection? What do I do with this thing? It's like, what's the best herb? What's the preventative? What should I look for? What should I, we're going to cover those things tonight. We're going to go through a step at a time. The other thing is, before I get started, if you don't have this printout, the email did go out. There is a printout there that's going to go through that you can follow us as we go through this tonight. There's going to be a chance for you to write some different things down. So if you have questions, write them down. There's going to be things that I'm also, as we go through this, that you'll be able to fill in. We'll give you other ideas as well, too. So anyway, if you don't have this printout, then go to your email. It's there. Katie has done an awesome job to make sure that's there and available for you. So make sure that you have that. So let's talk about this. The first thing that I have up there is I put down the immune system. Now listen, as we work through this, the one thing that's most important, and you say, well, why would the nervous system be part of the immune system? Can you see what we're doing here? We're okay? Okay. Number one is this. A lot of people don't recognize this, but many, many times your immune system is only as good as your nervous system. Sounds crazy, huh? But you look at so many of the things that are going on right now, and as we go through this, there are so many concerns of what's going on out there. Even in our minds, we think this is, I know when I first heard about it, I thought, well, gosh, this is a farce, this is a scare, this is ridiculous, this is political. The bottom line, it is very, very scary. There's a lot of unknowns, but the most important thing is that we got to keep our heads, not only for us, but also for our families, because the better we are at keeping our heads and helping our families out, we're going to help our families out. So keep that in mind. So the reason I've done this is I wanted to tackle the nervous system just a little bit. As we take and we're able to go in and calm and relax our nervous system, we're going to be so much better off for each and every one of us. And the one thing that you got to recognize is this. You guys, I will tell you one of the most challenging challenges that I have in my office is I have so many of my clients, and it's certainly not to pick on you if you're on here tonight, but I have so many of my clients come in over time, and I know because I've been one of them. And their biggest concern is, it's like, gosh, my child is acting up. My child is, I just don't know what's going on. It's like they're anxious all the time. They're stressed all the time. And you know what, you guys? The majority of the time, it's because mom and dad are. And as much as we don't want to say, hey, that's me, guess what? If we're stressed out, if we're anxious, many times our kids don't even have to know that. They just feel it. And guess what? That's the one thing that if you're stressed out, or if you're concerned or overly concerned, number one thing is get yourself taken care of first. Get yourself on a program that's going to help you out, to calm your nervous system down, to help you with your anxiety, to help you with your worries, to help you with the depression. There's a lot that's happened. Today is the day that we had the great big, besides this doggone virus, we had the earthquake down in Salt Lake. I know that shook a lot of people up. That put a lot more concerns into everything that's going on. It's just adding to that. But you know what? Everybody I've talked to down in the Utah Valley, they're doing good. They're surviving. I know there's people on here that are part of that. They're part of this Zoom tonight. So number one is take care of yourself, because the best thing you can do for your family, the best thing you can do for you is to calm you down. Because when you calm yourself down, then your family's going to be a lot calmer as well too. So what I've done is I've gone through and I have broken this up in the best ways that we can take and support ourselves. Now, with this, as I go through this, you'll notice that I have it broke up as far as the herbal supplements in what we call singles, combination herbs, and then I've also put in a few vitamins and a few things down the road as we go with that as well too. There is a trick when you work with nutrition. And nutrition is this: anytime that you work with nutrition, single herbs are awesome, but herbal combinations are the best. And anytime that you have an herbal combination, you're going to do much better. Now, the best part of this is this: if you work with an herbal combination and maybe you still don't have quite the result you want, that's when you add in the single herbs. Many of you that work with me, you know that many times we're going to work the herbal combination, and then we'll maybe work as a catalyst or something like that as far as a single herb to get a better result out of the actual herbal program we're working with. So the first thing you do want to do is you want to go to an herbal, what we call combination, to help out. And the nice part about some of these things or some of these herbs that I have written down here is they're pretty obvious as far as the things that are going to be the most beneficial. Now, you notice as we go through the herbal combination, and I've got herbal sleep. Now, if you're not sleeping well, guess what? I'm going to tell you right from the beginning, if you guys are not sleeping well right now with everything that's going on, there's 3 of these you can highlight tonight, okay? Herbal sleep is phenomenal. The other one is nerve ache is phenomenal. Nervous fatigue is phenomenal. So those 3, nervous fatigue, nerve ache, and herbal sleep. If your mind is just thinking about all the stuff that's going on over and over and over, and you can't get yourself to sleep, then pick one of those, because those are ones that can take and help calm your nervous system down in a way that you can sleep at night, rest at night, and do better. Because we know that the part of getting through this is we've got to have good, adequate sleep. And so with that, let's back up maybe just a step. Take 2 steps back. What do we know about the virus? Well, we do know this. We do know that, number one, that this virus has some symptoms that are out there that are pretty obvious. We know there's a fever attached to it. So that's one thing you're going to look for. We're going to look at tiredness, which is another factor. We're going to look at a cough as another factor. And in extreme conditions, there's also problems as far as breathing. That's not very many symptoms, but yet we look at this virus and we look at how dangerous it can be. And especially if we're all to get it at one shot, that's how dangerous it can be when we're all dealing with the same thing and only creating more of a situation for everybody. So one of the things I want to say is this: if we're dealing with some of these things, there are simple things that we can do at home before we even start our herbal program. Number one, yes, I want you to start your Nervines. I want you to start doing what you need to for your nervous system. But in addition to that, sleep is a necessity. The more rest you get, the better off you're going to do in preventing viruses, the better off you're going to do, and also fighting the viruses as well too, if you were to take and end up with it. So sleep is absolutely important. We know your water intake. Listen, guys, remember the old 7th grade when we talked about the 8-ounce glasses of water a day? Listen, anything less than that's a bust. I know I'm one of those that can be challenged with that sometimes. Many times at the end of the day, I look at how much water I drink. A lot of you who are on here know that it's like I get to the end of the day, and we talked about this before, and it's like, oh my heck, there's my first quart that I haven't even drank yet. And you get so involved in the different things you're doing that you're not drinking that water. We know that hydration is absolutely a must as well too. In addition to that, you guys, there's simple things. Are you washing your hands? Now, let me tell you one thing that I have learned that's really interesting. If you guys have a tendency towards a little bit of allergies, if you have a tendency towards a little bit of runny nose or something like that, you're going to feel like your hands are raw by the time we get through with this. But here's the deal. With this virus, and easily as it is to take and be handed off from one person to the next, if you're wiping your nose, what are you doing to make sure that your hands are cleaned after that? Okay. And that's the one thing, is as simply as you take and wipe your nose and then you rub up against something, or with this virus, the way it's contacted, there's so many different ways. In some ways, we're not even sure that we know how it's contacted. But here's the deal. If you're wiping your nose and if you're not cleaning your hands, and every time you go to wipe your nose and maybe you get a little bit up in that mucous membrane or something like that, you can end up with this virus this quick. And it's not to scare you, but it can simply be contacted that quickly, okay? The other thing, probiotics. I'm going to tell that right from the beginning. If you're not on a good probiotic, we need to do that, okay? Because we're even finding, and this to me is still not completely explained. I don't completely understand it, But what they're finding with this is, and this is what I do for a living, but what they're finding with this is your antibacterial soaps are actually destroying the friendly flora on your hands. And then they say that you're actually absorbing potentially that virus in your hands. So you want to do everything you can as you're washing your hands. Like we say, once you wipe your nose, once you go to the restroom, once you, whatever you're doing, you want to make sure that you have a good friendly flora going in your system. Now, my favorite is Elevated 11. That's going to give you about 30 billion immune. That is like turbo, turbocharged. Okay, but Elevated 11 is one of my favorite. The Nature Sunshine has. There's a Probiotic 11, which is great. But you look at what goes on between the Elevated 11. There's 11 billion friendly floras versus the 30 billion. Right now, 30 billion is probably one of my favorite. Now you could double up a little bit on the Elevated 11. Or sorry, the Probiotic 11 if you wanted to do that. So with that said, make sure that you're doing those things that sometimes we get in such a hurry that we're not washing our hands the way we should. We're not doing, once you wipe your nose, or if you have a runny nose or a little bit of head congestion or cold, something like that, make sure that you're doing what you need to take care of that, okay? As far as wiping your hands, so forth. Now, the other thing is this. As we work through this, just keep in mind that everything I have written down here, you don't need all this. But you do need to pay attention to your individual needs, because we know that the other thing with this virus is that the ones that are impacting the most, we know elderly, obviously. That's the way it is with every virus. But we're also finding that there's indicators of people that are in their 30s, 40s, 50s that are getting this too. But guess what? You guys, your kids are not exempt. Listen, if your kids are dealing with a cold, we are just still kind of wrapping up the RSV season right now. It's out there. There's a viral condition that's going around that has been horrendous this year. There's things that are going on. Your immune system has been compromised, okay? Meaning that you have more potential of picking this stuff up. So again, not to scare you, but also make sure that you're paying attention. With kids, you guys, if their immune system is struggling, you're going to want to do what you need to do to help them out as well too. And we're going to go through some of those things as well too. The other thing, as we work with this, you guys, is understand that as we go through this, you're only going to need a few things to take and work as what we call a preventative. And then if you run into any of these symptoms that start to show up, then you're going to want to really pound it at that point. So we'll talk about how to do that. The one challenge that we have with this virus that makes it so much more challenging than any of the other viruses out there is we have that first 14 days that once you've been infected, the scary part of this is we're not able to even pick up a lot of symptoms in that first 14 days until that day 12, 13, or 14. So obviously, the more we can do as far as a preventative measure, what is it that, I guess, who was it? Benjamin Franklin said, what do you say? Is it, how does it go? I don't remember go. It's like an ounce of prevention is worth more than a pound of cure, right? Okay, so whatever we can do to prevent right now, that's the trick. That's the key to it. And that's what we want to spend our time on tonight. But remember this, you guys, in that 14-day period, as we work with the prevention part of this, the one thing you want to do is if you start any of those symptoms, the first one, bigger and better than any of them that we're finding, is the tiredness and the fever seems to be the trigger. The crazy part is you'll see a lot of your medical field right now, and I know this because I have friends, every one of them, before anybody's coming in their offices, which that is about to stop right now too, they're taking temperatures. Well, sometimes that's a little bit too late because the stuff's already been passed on. They're already infected. The individuals are already in trouble, and it's just at a later point. I know that I've got a nurse practitioner on here tonight. She'll validate that. But we're doing our best to take and help out to prevent this stuff. But you may already be infected. So that's why the sooner we can get on this preventative, the better off we go, or better off we're going to be. So let's go through this. We're going to pound through this pretty quick, and then we can do questions at the end. With the nervous system, listen, you guys, I'm going to tell you right up. If you are dealing with some depression, Mood Elevator is going to be the best friend you have. You know, right now there's stress, there's anxiety that goes with this. But with this, if there's depression, Mood Elevator is going to be one of your very best friends. So anybody in the family that might have some depression that's going on with that, even if you're on a MAO inhibitor, if you're on an antidepressant, if you're on an anti-anxiety, you can still do this Mood Elevator without any complications whatsoever. In fact, every one of these you could do without complication and do just fine with that as well too. Sorry, Katie. The other thing is this. Every one of these things, I would start out with suggested amount, okay? I wouldn't do anything less than suggested amount if you're struggling with some of the anxiety, some of the stress, the different things that are going on with that as well too. All right. Now, as we go through this, herbal sleep, your nerve aid, your nervous fatigue, those are all going to help as far as sleep. They're going to help you rest at night. Mood elevator is going to be one of the very best things to help you as far as being able to take and fight or combat depression, if you will. Now, am I saying this to prescribe it? Absolutely not. I'm saying it as a suggestion that can help out with these things. Anxiety. One of the very best things as far as anxiety is going to be your nervous fatigue, guys. Now, just overall, just kind of anxiety or a little bit of stress, but extreme anxiety, I do the nervous fatigue. Why? It's an adaptogen. Anytime we have an adaptogen, that is something that's going to help you adapt to your stresses. We can't change your stresses, but we can adapt to them. One other one that we throw in there, that I would throw in there outside, actually, I'm going to throw two in there that's not written down. Another adaptogen is one's called Adaptomax. Nature Sunshine has Adaptomax. It's phenomenal. In fact, I'm finding that right now, with some of the anxiety that's going on with a lot of the clients I'm working with, I'm finding that working with the actual Adaptomax with a little extra ashwagandha is working great for anxiety, okay? Anxiety, well, let's just back up. Here's the deal, you guys. With anxiety, that's just basically the fear of the unknowns. I mean, that's basically your body in fight or flight. And there's a lot of tendencies towards that right now too. So sometimes working just with Adaptomax or nervous fatigue is going to do it. But we also remember that single herb is one that can make that more turbo powered. So if you have ashwagandha or have some ashwagandha around, that's going to make either that nervous fatigue, or as a matter of fact, any of these that much better for you as well too. Okay, so don't forget ashwagandha. We can go into that and probably do a whole class on ashwagandha tonight, but we're not going to do that. I'm going to move this cursor just a little bit so it's not in front of us. Okay, now here's the deal. You know what? Suma's on there. I've even looked at my list. Suma's on there. It's another adaptogen. Every one of these things, the one thing that I do want to tell you, if you don't have one, try the other. The best part about these is every one of them is a nerve bind. Because they're nerve bind, they're going to help calm the nervous system. The other thing that I have found too is if you have a lot of emotional stress, red raspberry, men and female alike. Now, a lot of ladies use that as far as their to help level the hormones and to help balance their nervous system along with the hormones and so forth too. But red raspberry is a great emotional balancer for the body. Okay, one, and I want you to pay special attention to this. If you're doing a MAO inhibitor, if you're doing an antidepressant, anti-anxiety, do not ever, ever, and I should have put this down, my bust, never, ever, 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 ever do kava kava while you're taking any of those. That can actually create coma, so we don't want to mess with that, okay? So that's one thing that I should have written this down, so I hope that I got that across. So these are the simple things that we can do for the nervous system. Obviously, if you run into situations, these things are not working for you guys, the best part is you can always text us. I can always text. I can always help out that way to maybe help you work through some of this stuff. But I want it simple enough that you can look at it and know some of the things that can help you out there too. Stress J is phenomenal. Stress relief is great. Stress J is great in bringing good energy up and bringing the negative energy down. Stress relief is good to just calm things down, to settle things down. It's good for insomnia too. It's good for sleep too. The others are stronger, but nervous fatigue is great for the sleep, even more so. I will, as far as the anxiety, to help out with that. So let's go on. Let's move on. Let's get into this, what we actually started here. Now, as far as this virus is concerned, the number one thing that we want to recognize is this, and I need to put this out there in a way that if you have an autoimmune disorder, I'm going to talk to the side just a little bit of what we're doing here. So when we get to these points, the one thing that I don't want to do is anybody that has an autoimmune disorder, there's some of these things that I want you absolutely to avoid. Okay, so we'll talk about that as we go through. But the number one thing, everything that we can do to take and enhance our immune system, we're going to win. So the one thing that you do want to do, unless you have an autoimmune disorder, we don't want to enhance, we don't want to stimulate. Katie and I talked about that the other day. Obviously, if you have a hyperactive immune system and then we go on and put another immune stimulator on top of that, we're going to only create more problems. So there's some things that I will tell you to avoid if you have an autoimmune disorder. Okay? But anytime we can enhance the immune system, we're going to do better to take and prevent this virus, the situation that's going on with this coronavirus, if you will, or even the viruses that's going on right now. So what I've done is I've taken the immune system as a whole. I'm going to take and some of you that have already come in my office, there's so many people that are working on the prevention part of it right now. Let me share with you right now. I've already suggested a few of you that one of the best ones you can work with is olive leaf extract. It's my favorite. It's one of the best antivirals, if you will, that is out there known to man right now, even to a point of reducing fever. I mean, if you look at some of the things that, if you look at the history of this olive leaf extract, not many things can match it. If you have an autoimmune disorder, you can use olive leaf extract. It's not an immune stimulant. It's just excellent to take and help to maintain normal immune properties. Next to that is VSC. VSC is another one that's on there. Do you have VSC written on there?
Should be.
I don't think we do. VSC. V is in Victor, S is in Sierra, C is in cat. VSC is a great one for the immune system too. So write that one down. It's a Chinese combination. Anytime we do anything in Chinese, it's always stronger. Isn't that amazing? That's where this originated from, and here we go. So VSC is a great one. The other thing that I found is this. Elderberry is probably one of the third ones out there that is one of the best ones out there too. So there's an elderberry defense. There's also an elderberry immune that we can get for the children. We can still get that one right. Never mind. Okay, so listen, you guys, another thing with children, if by any reason some of this stuff we can't get in a liquid, I will tell you that mixing this stuff, dumping a capsule out with yogurt works great. Some of your kids, it's like, I don't want to take and shame anybody, especially as adults that sometimes have a hard time swallowing capsules. I really probably should have put this on here, but I got a 2-year-old that is fat. He's amazing. I mean, anybody that's ever seen the Super Omega 3s, in fact, Katie and I was talking about that tonight. Those things are like horse pills and a half, and he can sit there and swallow them without water. And it just makes me understand it's like, you know what, I just need to gut it out. I can handle swallowing capsules too. But if your kids can't swallow capsules, go back to that. If the kids can't swallow capsules, you can dump these out, mix them with yogurt. It does great. I know. I have a really good friend that she makes what she calls peanut butter balls. It works. Mix it up a little bit of peanut butter and the kids will eat on it, you know, and I look at some of these things and they are stout. The only one that I would probably hesitate as far as maybe dumping out and having your kids try to suck it down is seasonal defense. Some of you are on seasonal defense right now as a preventative. It's another excellent one that's an antiviral, has oregano in it. So if you dump that out, I don't think your kids are going to like that. If you think that you're going to force it down, then you try it first and see how you do with it. So stout, okay? But one of my favorites, now here's the thing. If for some reason you don't have seasonal defense or you don't have VSC, I've got a whole list of other things that you can do on here. So the one thing we don't want to do is have people panic saying, well, I don't have seasonal defense or I don't have VSC. It's like, listen, I've got a whole bunch of things that if you don't have one, we can do the other. We're running out of so many things, even back ordered with Nature's Sunshine and different companies because you can't get things. Listen, guys, there's a lot of herbs out in the herbal kingdom that will help us out with this virus. So we don't worry about that. If you run into a problem or you can't find something, we'll help you, okay? We talked about that today. Katie and I, it's like people are going out and they're getting their 90-day supply because, and here again, I don't want to create stress, but figure for 90 days, guys. We really think that we're not even going to see an open window, and I don't want to create craziness out here. We don't want to create craziness in a way that we scare anybody, but really expect to take and work on your immune system and maintain your immune system for the next 90 days. Make sure you're doing what you need to for the next 90 days as a preventative, you guys. Okay? Now, here's the other thing. Before I go too much further, there's things you can do as a preventative. What I would do is if I'm doing VSC as my preventative, I would do one morning, I do one evening. Then if you pick up a symptom, that's the time that I would look on. If we can't muscle test, then I look on your bottle and I would look at what suggested amount is, and that's exactly what I would be doing, okay? So one a day, morning and evening. Now, whatever you're gonna do, okay, does that make sense as far as a preventative? And then if some of these symptoms start to, even if you're uncertain about the symptom, go ahead and just go ahead to your suggested amount. It's not gonna hurt you one bit, all right? So I know there's going to be a lot of questions out there. So some of my favorites. So let's talk about a little bit of the people that have the autoimmune disorders. And so right now, this section is just for autoimmune disorders. What can we do without problems? We can do organ grape. That's not going to enhance the immune responses or stimulate. That's the word we want to use, stimulate. We can go ahead and use the olive leaf extract. We can use high potency grapeine, which is phenomenal. It does excellent to maintain a normal, healthy immune system. We can go ahead and use the BSC. We can do great with that. Some people are utilizing colloidal silver. Colloidal silver does quite well. Not my favorite. I'm going to tell you right up. It's not my favorite antiviral. There's so many things that are stronger out there, but you can do that. All right. Elderberry. You can do elderberry and do great with that as well too. Usually those are, those are ones that you can do great with right off the bat, jumping out of the gate there. The other thing is we find lots of times with autoimmune disorders, if we run into a situation to where you do pick up the virus, guess what? At a small amount of some of these things that might be an immune stimulator, if you do a little bit, in addition to what the BSC or the olive leaf extract or the elderberry or the grapeine that we suggested, you could still do a little bit of maybe of an immune stimulator or ThymJ or something like that without having the adverse effects with that. Okay, so keep that in mind. There's some of these things you can do. We just don't want to overdo that. All right.
What do you suggest are ones to stay away from?
Okay, so what I do suggest staying away from, Katie brought it up. Great. There's two of them that I'd absolutely suggest you stay away from. Actually, I'm going to put three. Okay. If you go to your single herb, the one that I would suggest staying away from, I'm going to actually pick two of those for you. Echinacea is one that I'd stay away from. The rule on echinacea is this. It increases white blood count in your body, and that is excellent to take an enhanced immune system for everybody. But if you have an autoimmune disorder, that can cause some grief. The other one is astragalus. It is an immune stimulator. That's one to avoid if you have an autoimmune disorder as far as a single herb. So those two would be two that I avoid, okay, as an autoimmune disorder. In a combination, Trigger Immune and ThymJ, okay? Those are the two as far as the combination. Now, the rest of them, an immune stimulator. Did I say immune stimulator? Okay, immune stimulator, ThymJ, and Trigger Immune. We say it one more time. Trigger Immune, immune stimulator, and ThymJ. Those are the three combinations if you have an autoimmune disorder that you want to avoid. Why? Because they're going to stimulate your immune system. Okay, now the rest of it, there's other ones on here that I haven't mentioned. They're open. You can do fine with that. So that's also ones that we have on this list that you can use to go in and fight this virus and work with as well too, and not have any complications with. Now, I've also written down here, there's a lot of essential oils. I'm not going to spend any time on essential oils. Obviously, you can do whatever you want with those. They're great. Bottom to feet, they're excellent. You can do them daily, twice a day. I know my wife gives the kids a rub down morning and evening. There's one that's called Guardian. There's another one that's called Thieves. There's one On Guard that's out there, doTERRA. And there's a lot of those that you can use out there, which is great. And anytime you do something like that, that's awesome. Which at this point, since we're talking about putting stuff on your feet, guys, I'm going to tell you right now that there's a natural antibiotic. Now listen, with this virus, there also is and can be with the virus an infection that goes with it, obviously, because there's a fever that goes with it. Okay. One of the best antibiotics you can use, if you'll take a garlic capsule, and if you'll puncture that garlic capsule, and if you'll rub it on the bottom of your feet, and then either take them and find like a mentholatum or Vicks, or if you have, we have Thai food, Nature Sunshine has Thai food massage oil, or we have an essential oil, that's great. Rub that on and then put your socks on. And it does great as a natural antibiotic. I remember when I was introduced to this, an old wise tale from an old nurse, and if you knew her, you would, she was tough. And I remember thinking that was a bunch of bunk, but it's like this stuff works amazing. I've watched it over the years do great. You can also do, what's the doTERRA blue, deep blue? Deep blue that you could put on, so you could do deep, I think it's deep blue.
Is that one's for muscles?
Yeah, that's for muscles, but it still works.
Oh,
okay, because it has a menthol in it. Does that make sense? And so because it has that menthol in it, then it also works too, or camphor menthol factor. So you can use anything that will have a menthol response there. So deep blue is another good one, just like the Thai food will be a good one as well too. So just as long as you put the garlic on first, follow then with either your Thai food, your deep blue, or mentholatum, or Vicks, or whatever you have, and then put your socks on and go to bed. then you can actually feel like that, you're, I don't know, it's kind of like a baked pizza or something like that. I don't know. It kind of smells and stinks, but it works great as a natural antibiotic. Okay, let's move on a little bit. And I know I'm blasting through this pretty quick, but I'm highlighting some of these as we go through it. Like I said, seasonal defense, you guys, amazing. Does great. BSC, amazing. Does great. There's so many of these things. Cat's Claw, antiviral, does great. That's phenomenal. Okay, that's another option with it. So let's move on next to the lymphatics. Let me tell you a little bit about the lymphatics. So we know the immune system, and I'm going to back up the immune system one more thing. The immune system is amazing in the fact that we have one gland that sits right central in our chest that's called the thymus gland. The thymus gland is amazing because that is basically a master gland of the body. That master gland is in charge of producing a cell that's called a T cell. This T cell is the one that basically regulates the fighting cells of your body to fight off infections, viruses, bacteria, what have you. So unless you have an autoimmune disorder, anything you can do to enhance that thymus gland, the better off you're going to be. You can even tap this thing and increase the thymus activities, okay, which is great. The other two that I would use to enhance that thymus right away would be your trigger immune and your ThymJ, unless you have an autoimmune disorder, okay? So keep that in mind. So if you want to enhance that thymus gland and produce those T cells, which is going to help you with your white cells and the B cells and other cells that your body needs to fight infections, viruses, what have you, then you want to do your ThymJ or you want to do your trigger immune, unless you have the autoimmune disorder. So just want to say that a couple times so you have an idea. Okay, let's talk about lymphatic. What are lymphatics? There's 700 lymphatic glands that sit in our body. They basically are in charge of our immune responses. They're in charge of pulling infection, virus, congestion, toxins, and poisons out of our blood. They are essential in what we do here, you guys. They're the ones that are going to take and help us out as far as moving all this viral conditions and so forth out of our body. So anything that we can do to support that, we want to do that, okay? And at the very end, I'm going to tell you the minimal, what I would do suggestion-wise at the end. So don't panic with all this. That I would do suggestion-wise as a preventative right now. So I just want to go through this information so you have an understanding here. And then we'll talk about the minimal suggestion, and you can work from that. Lymphatics are essential. Now, there's one pump to that lymphatic system outside of you going out and walking or exercising. And that is what we call a spleen. It sits over here on the left side of the body. It sits just under the rib cage over here. We have a spot that's called SP6 that controls that. You'll notice that when you push on the rib cage over here, a little rascal hurts, okay? You can tap spleen and just like the thymus, enhance that spleen activity. That will help pump and move stuff out of your lymphatic system. So if you get sick, do it. Pump it. Even if you start to get nauseated, guys, you can actually take it just with any types of infections, virus or whatever, you can take and tap that, and lots of times even get rid of that darn sickness before it even gets too far into the body. So with that said, if that is the pump for it, then one of the things we want to do is make sure that spleen's in a good state. There is one of my favorite that Nature's Sunshine has, and guess what? It's really simple to figure out what, well, it's called spleen activator. So it's really simple to figure out what that does. That's going to go in there and enhance that spleen activity. That's going to go in there and increase that activity of the spleen. Also, spleen is known, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of other functions with it, but I want to keep that to the side, but it's the one that helps us store red blood cells in our body. There's all kinds of other things that goes with that. But for this situation, we want to do that to enhance our immune system in a way that we can pump all these toxins and poisons, virus infection out. The other one that will take and help with the spleen is yarrow. Yarrow is amazing. So yarrow, you've got lymphatic drainage that's on your list. With the kids, lymphatic drainage is phenomenal. It's a tincture. We have lymph gland cleanse, okay? I'm going to tell you that as a Nature's Sunshine, if you're buying lymph gland cleanse with Nature's Sunshine, there's one that's called HYE, which is basically for people that have tendencies toward low blood sugar, and then there's regular lymph gland cleanse. That one has golden seal in it. Anytime we have golden seal, which I will tell you is great for infections, it's a natural antibiotic, but golden seal can decrease blood sugar. So if you have a little bit of tendency towards some lower blood sugar tendencies, if you're taking the lymph gland cleanse or anything else that has golden seal in it, rule of thumb is you can do a little bit of spirulina and bring that blood sugar up and prevent that blood sugar dropping, or you can do a little bit of licorice root and do that as well too to help maintain that blood sugar, okay? But just remember, with golden seal, it can drop your blood sugar, so be a little bit cautious with that one. But again, it will do awesome to help the spleen out as far as flushing the virus and infections out of your body. Anytime that you can treat your spleen right, it's going to treat your immune system right, okay? So there's certain things that we can take and work with. So when I say lymphatic, I should have put spleen with that as well too, because it's going to be big in helping us take and move the stuff out of the lymphatic system. Awesome. Awesome, awesome part of our lymphatic system. It's so amazing. God's blessed us with so many amazing ways to fight these different things and get this stuff out of your system. That's why the one reason that we got to also make sure that we're not wigging out. God's blessed us with a body that's designed to help us fight these things if we treat it right. Okay? With this too, you guys, if you have a lymph that happens to be congested, lots of times we have auxiliary lymphs, okay, that can be really full through our throat, through our neck. You can rub those rascals, okay? Don't hesitate to rub them. Just make sure that as you rub them to help drain them, that you rub them as if you're a clock. So you'll notice, to me, it's going to look like you're right to left, or I'm sorry, you're left to right, but look at yourself as a clock. So you're going to rub everything as I'm doing from my right side to my left side. Your blood circulates that way. Your bowels circulate that way. So you want to take and make sure you're rubbing your lymphatics that way. Also, anytime you rub from this right to left, just as if you're a clock, that increases energies to those areas that are needing that help. So whatever you need to do to help that way, we want to do that. All right. So with this, if I were to pick some individual things as far as helping my lymphatic system, I will tell you that I will always go to Yarrow as being one of my favorite. It is one of, as far as a single herb, it'll be my favorite. Now, as far as the combinations, you're not going to lose with any of them as far as the combination. Now, guys, autoimmune disorder people, I see you on there. I know you. I'm looking at you. Immune stimulator is not your friend. Okay? This is not a place to take it. This is going to cause you problems if you have that autoimmune disorder. But notice, there's so many other things. We got the Lymphomax. We've got lymph gland cleanses. We've got things like that that we can work with. Lymphatic drainage is awesome. Yarrow is one of my favorite, though, okay? It is so awesome to work with things. So spleen activator, and then you can do your Yarrow on top of that, spleen activator, lymphatic drainage, spleen activator. So any of these things that it's going to be something that if you do pick up the virus infection bacteria, enhance your immune system. If you have a low immune, then we're wanting to add some of these things in additional to some of the basic things that we're going to do as prevention at the end. Next thing is respiratory. So let's talk about respiratory system. What does this system involve? Respiratory system is based off, first, our sinuses. We have an upper, we have a mid, we have a lower sinuses, okay? We know that with this virus is attacking the respiratory system, okay? So because it's attacking the respiratory system, what do we want to do? We want to do anything and everything we can to support that respiratory system. In addition to the sinuses, there's throat. We got the lymphatics of the throat. We talked about the lymphatics, and then we have the lung and bronchial, you guys. So we're going to go through those, and I'm going to highlight a few of these, but just remember, if you can't get these, if you don't have these, there's all these other herbs you could use if you don't have these. So there's no reason to panic, all right? And that's the one thing that if there's anything I can take and suggest tonight is don't panic. We have so many options, so many ways to do things here, okay? So respiratory system, what are we going to do? Let's break that down. But first of all, let's give you an idea of what I would suggest as far as your immune system. We got one typo in there. So if you go through your list, you guys, you'll notice that it talks about that second line. It says, this is my fault, but there's immune stimulator, there's fenugreek and thyme, there's combination 4. There's one that says ACP, that actually is H, as in hotel, CP, okay? That is excellent for the respiratory system. Now, Nature Sunshine has that. Occasionally we get that. I think that's actually a once a year order. So some of you may have that, but it does great. Now, here's the deal. Any of these are going to be awesome. I will tell you one thing. I know that Vervain has been discontinued, but I will tell you there's so many places out there you can get Vervain, or I should say as far as Nature Sunshine has been discontinued. A lot of you have Vervain. As far as your kids are concerned, it's one of the best things you can do for the upper respiratory as far as your kids, you guys. This is one that's excellent. Let me talk about a little more as far as the respiratory with kids. CCA with Yerba Sante, okay? And we're talking little guys. We're talking people these little guys and these little people that need tinctures that can't do capsules for any reason, okay? We've got what we call lymphatic drainage, which is awesome for respiratory. ALJ, which is awesome for respiratory. Blue Vervain, which is awesome for respiratory. CCA with yerba sante is one of my favorite. Yerba sante is like mean. It's deadly awesome. It's stout. That's one that, anyway, it's excellent for the respiratory for these little guys. So you can use all those and do great with the respiratory system with them. And then you can add your echinaceas. You can add your echinacea with golden seals. We can do the Orden grape, which is a natural antibiotic as well too. If you have strep, one of the best herbs is Orden grape. But again, with this virus that's going on with this coronavirus, then basically this Orden grape is a great antibiotic as well too. So with this, like I say, highlighting this, if I say respiratory, some of my favorite to work with is Elderberry Defense, one of my favorite, or Elderberry Immune. The other one is, actually there's several of them. Gosh, I use a lot of these. You'll see Seasonal Defense, Sinus Support. Fenugreek and Thyme is like amazing. If you can't get fenugreek and thyme, then marshmallow fenugreek is off the charts. Marshmallow is awesome because it will soothe any of these areas that are inflamed. Marshmallow is a soother, okay? Fenugreek and thyme, it's one that basically will dry out a lot of the congestion that you have going on. So if you have a lot of drainage, then fenugreek and thyme will dry that out. But let me tell you also, fenugreek is an antiviral. There's that word again, antiviral. Anything we can do as an antiviral, we want to do. That's the one that's protecting us from this stuff that's going around. So you can't go wrong with anything that has fenugreek. A lot of nursing moms use marshmallow fenugreek to increase their milk. Why we added that in, I don't know. But you might have that for that reason. If you're a nursing mom, okay, I'm going to turn red. Maybe, I don't know why I turned red, but I am. So anyway, here's the deal, you guys. That's something you can use for the upper respiratory and do great with it. It soothes the lungs, it soothes the bronchial. It soothes the throat. Marshmallow soothes the throat. It does great that way as well too. But fenugreek is an antiviral, okay? If you have any type of an asthmatic tendency, now we're going to talk about more severe cases, you guys, with this respiratory, and we'll go right to the lungs. If any of you have an asthmatic type tendency, including your kids, there's a couple of these that stick out. Bronchial formula is a dilator, the bronchial. It's one that's going to open things up. If you have tendency towards pneumonia, you want to dilate to pull the fluids out. If you have asthmatic conditions, you want to dilate to increase oxygen flow, okay? The other one is what we call breathe activator. It's a Chinese combination. It is one of actually my favorite, if you will, as far as a dilator to the bronchial system. It's the one that's going to open things up. Now, if we get upper respiratory infection, when does it become severe? When we can't breathe. What is one of the best things that you can do is dilate, okay? Dilate means expand. It means to open up. So you want to do anything you can take and do as far as that. You want to use anything that's a dilator to help with that. My two of choice is bronchial formula and breathe activator, all right? All right, let's move on. Whoa. I want to move one more. The combination 4. I want to just take and spend a little bit of time on this because we go through the lungs and we're going to hit each one of these a little bit at a time, but I want to hit the respiratories overall, and then I'll highlight. Combination 4, that's the 4 herbs for the respiratory system, meaning that that's going to cover from head all the way down to the lung and bronchial. Combination 4 is amazing, okay? Combination 4, and then if you have a tendency towards a lot of coughing, one of the symptoms, you have a lot of coughing, combination 4 and mullein. Okay, we bring a single herb in to make combination 4 even stronger. Combination 4 and mullein are phenomenal. Now, if we have constriction in that chest and tightness, what do? We put a dilator in. What does that mean? That we add the breathe activator to it, or we add what to it? We add the bronchial formula to it, okay? So one more time, let's go through that. So what are we gonna do? Number one, we know the combination 4 is gonna be one of the best ones for the respiratory system. Okay, it's going to be the 4 herbs that will cover all the respiratory system. While we're enhancing the immune system, if the virus is going to the upper respiratory, then we want to support the upper respiratory. So as you use an antiviral, you want to target it to a particular system. I hope I can make this simple. We work with the virus first, but then we target to the area of weakness. Does that make sense? So support our bodies to enhance the immune system and work with an antiviral, but then target to the area that's being hit by it. So what that says is we want to do the antiviral, or first, if we have a low immune, we want to enhance the immune, put an antiviral in there, and then target it to the area that's weak. Okay? So what would I do in this situation? If I had a weak immune system, what am I going to do? If I don't have an autoimmune disorder, I want to do ThymJ. I want to do immune stimulator. I want to do trigger immune. Okay? And then what do I want to do? I want to support my respiratory system. Why? Because that's the area that the virus is going to. So we know we have a virus, so we do an antiviral, and we target to the respiratory system. So let's simplify it. Trigger immune, ThymJ, that's going to enhance the immune system. If you have autoimmune disorder, don't use that. Use VSE, use olive leaf extract. That's going to enhance, or I should say maintain a normal immune system. Then what are we going to do? Those for an autoimmune disorder that are going to be an antiviral too. So what do? You can use that as an antiviral. So I'm complicating this, I know it. Enhance the immune system, unless you have an autoimmune disorder. Antiviral, step 2. Step 3 is target to the area that's weak. Okay, does that make sense? 1, enhance the immune system before weak. 2, antiviral. 3, target it to the area that's weak. All right, the weak area, obviously, you know the virus is going to the upper respiratory. Combination 4 is phenomenal. We have a cough, we add Mullen to it. Okay, if you don't have combination 4, seasonal defense works, guys. There's a whole bunch. ALJ works. There's a whole bunch of those, but combination 4 is an example. If we have a constriction, what do? We add a dilator in there. We do bronchial formula. We do breathes. And then what do we want to do is we want to make sure that we're doing everything we can to pull that virus out of there. Hopefully that helps out. Okay, if you have questions, you run into problems, obviously you can go in and help it. You can always take and text us, and we'll help out with this. We'll answer questions. I know I probably complicated this. I'm trying to make it simple, layman's terms. Okay, let's target respiratory really quick. I'm going to break it down fast. Sinus, the herbs that I'm talking about right now, it's so hard, you guys. I can make a class out of every one of these areas, but there's one that's called bayberry. You guys, you can pick bayberry up. I know bayberry is one that you can use just like a sea salt or a rinse for the sinuses. It's basically nothing more than just a rinse for the sinuses. Listen, you don't even have to have bayberry. You can use a salt rinse. Pick sea salt, put it with a little bit of water. Okay, snort that, go in the shower, snort that up there. It'll break a lot of this congestion up. Number one thing too, guys, as we go through all this, as we work with that respiratory system, your chances of moving this virus out is highly going to depend on your hydration. I should start with fluids, make sure that you're hydrating. I'm going to pound the fluids right now so that you're hydrating, because if we're not getting fluids to that respiratory system, we're not going to move that virus out. We're not going to move that congestion. So the actual abilities to take and pull this stuff out of your body is going to depend highly on your hydration. Okay, so make sure you're hydrating. So with this, what you're going to want to do is, number one, if you have it in the head, the sinuses, a lot of you will take and be more prone to sinus infections versus lung and bronchial. Some of you will be a lot more prone to lung and bronchial versus sinuses. Okay, so know your weak area, know your kid's weak area. All right, that's the reason I broke the sinuses down from the lung and bronchial, so that you'll know the areas are going to be most beneficial. But you'll also notice that some of them is going to cover all of those areas of respiratory. All right, so if I was to look at sinuses, one of my first and favorite right out of the blocks is going to be fenugreek and thyme, sinus support, or marshmallow fenugreek. All right, those are my favorite. Now I'm going to tell you a little bit of secret, and many of you have seen Mucinex in the stores. Mucinex is awesome, but Mucinex also depends on fluid levels. The more fluid you have, the more effective Mucinex is. You can do your own Mucinex in an herbal program. If you'll take white oak bark, which is on your list, and if you'll take ALJ, 1-to-1 ratio. If you do 2 capsules of ALJ as an example, and 2 capsules of white oak bark, those 2 together will thin mucus down so we can move heavy congestion. Okay, if you're extremely heavy congested, you don't want to just do 2 morning of each, 2 morning of each in the morning, 2 in the morning. Let me back up. If you have heavy congestion, you may have to take and do like 3 morning, 3 evening of each. You might have to do 4 morning, 4 evening of each. If that congestion is really heavy, then you may have to increase that. But just make sure that no matter what, if you're doing ALJ, doing 4 of ALJ, you always want to make sure you're doing 4 of white oak bark, or 3 of ALJ, 3 of white oak bark. That's your Mucinex. Okay, that is the one that's going to thin mucus down. That's help us move all this junk out of our system. That will highly depend on hydration. All right. So anything that I want to jump in there, garlic, natural antibiotic, golden seal. I rely a lot on combinations. Saltwater rinse, saline. Saline is one that's just nothing more than putting moisture up there. You can do that, which is great. There's also an essential oil. It's called Taifu. It's one of my favorite. If you guys have never seen that, Nature Sunshine has that. There's a Taifu lotion, which is a massage lotion. This Taifu lotion is a little tincture, and this stuff is like stout. But if you'll take and get that tincture, and if you'll put a couple of drops on your hand, rub that, and then if you'll take and cup your nose, that does so well to break up all the congestion, the upper, the mid, and the lower sinuses. Probably something that every household should have because it is that good. It's also one that you can rub on sore muscles. It's great for headaches. It's great for any type of pressure. Just keep it out of the areas of eyes, under the arms, and of course, through the private region of the body. It can irritate, okay? So be cautious of that. I've had some people attempt it. All right, don't attempt it because it burns and you can't wash it off very well. Taifu, and you'll see that written down there. Okay, let's talk about bronchioles really quick. Bronchioles is important because bronchioles are the pathways of air coming in, pulling toxins out as well too. We talked about the dilators versus the constriction. Okay, anytime we can dilate, we're going to do better to take and support oxygen to the body, which heals the body. All right, the lungs rely on those bronchioles, so we've got to take care of them. Many times coughing, a lot of people say, I want to suppress the coughing. Yes, if it gets out of control, you want to suppress it, but don't completely suppress it. We want to dilate the bronchiole, and we want to move all that junk out of our system, okay? Listen, you can take this Taifu, you can take and rub that all over your chest, you guys. Listen, the Vicks is great. Rub it on your chest. That's great. But if you really want that to break stuff up, rub the Vicks on the bottom of the feet or the Taifu on the bottom of the feet. You'll notice that that's into your chest immediately to make most of this stuff come out of your system. So use that on your feet, all right? But here's the deal. With the bronchioles, always and any time that we can possibly dilate them, we're going to get a better response as far as moving this junk out of your system. It's also going to make it so that when you cough to move things out of your system, you're going to move it more freely, okay? So with that, anytime that you can take, and if you're really struggling with these coughs and upper respiratory, the bronchial dilators are good to have on hand, all right? So your breathe activator. A lot of you have bronchial pharma. It's amazing. But you can also, if you didn't have any of those, you can also take and use your Vicks. You can also take and use your Taifu, and that will help out as well too. If you're really, really bad off, and I usually do this in a state of even pneumonia. So let's just say that this virus gets extremely severe, and let's just say that everything starts to shut down. You even go to a state of pneumonia. We know when it gets to a state of pneumonia, things are not good. Okay, we know that things can go bad really, really quick. I will tell you my favorite combination. So write this down. Combination 4, absolute favorite. Chinese kidney activator, a must. It's going to help dry the fluid up in here. So combination 4, Chinese kidney activator. And then when you take and put capsicum, cayenne pepper, and lobelia, those 4 together do absolutely awesome in a state of pneumonia. Now, obviously, use them before you get to a state of pneumonia. Okay, if you're really having a problem getting this stuff out of there, those 4 are amazing. So again, combination 4. I'm going to tell you too, combination 4 Chinese lung support, you can use all those. I mean, anyway, go back to that combination. Here's the thing, just understand that when you work with lobelia and capsicum, those 2 are going to be very, very, very big as far as breaking the crud up in your system and moving it out. I even use that to take in with smokers that are trying to quit smoking. That's how I pull the tar out of the lung and bronchial so that they lose that desire for that nicotine in their system. We can get the tar out of there. We also reduce the desire for nicotine. So that shows you how strong it is. So again, do combination 4 or Chinese lung support. Okay, lobelia, capsicum or cayenne pepper, one of the same. Capsicums is just a more concentrated form of it. And then the Chinese lung, or with the Chinese lung support, or the combination 4 Chinese kidney activator. Chinese kidney activator reduces fluid. It has a diuretic effect. Okay. All right. I know where are we time wise?
It is 8:30.
8:30. Whoa. Okay. So let's blast through the last part of this, you guys. What do we want to highlight on? Lungs. I think we've talked a lot about the lungs. The bronchioles, we want to dilate. We want to make sure that we're doing everything we can to take care of the lungs. But let's break this last part down and then we'll open things up for questions, all right? I think I pounded on things pretty hard here. The virus, you guys. Anytime we're dealing with this virus, this is the thing that we know that's given us so much problem. This is the thing that's scaring everybody to death. If it's a global issue, there's a problem with it. So treat it as a problem, you guys. The more that you're willing to take and do what Katie and I in our office talk a lot about this, you'll notice that tomorrow will be the last day that I'll actually see clients in my office. You guys have got the text or the emails. From now on, we'll be doing Zoom, just like it's no different than the medical field right now, unless it's absolute emergency. You're seeing what they call telemed, which crashed today. Telemed to take and see all their, I shouldn't laugh, it's not funny. Telemed to see their patients right now. And it's a way that we're not spreading this virus to one another. But here's the deal, you guys. The number one thing we want to do is we want to do our very, very best to take and enhance our immune system. So we talked about the things to enhance our immune system. Unless we have an autoimmune disorder, then we want to do something other than the trigger immune, the Stragulus or the Thin J. There's the three. Those are the voids, okay? We want to do whatever we can to enhance that immune system. Number two, we want to do an antiviral. What are my favorite antivirals? We talked about the olive leaf extract, VSC, amazing. Fenugreek, amazing. Okay. The other thing is you got to understand, guys, there's so many other things you can do. Seasonal defense is amazing. Why? Because it has oregano in it. I love seasonal defense too, because you can use olive leaf extract as a viral, but you can also use seasonal defense to work with the respiratory system as well too, as far as taking and fighting off this viral condition. I've even suggested to a lot of you to take and do one morning, one evening of seasonal defense, one morning and one evening olive leaf extract. That's a great place to start as a preventative. And then if we start to see some of those symptoms, what do? We automatically go to suggested amount. Okay, don't wait until you really know the symptoms are there. Jump on it right away as far as a preventative measure. Now listen, if you don't have olive leaf, then what do? We can do VSC. If we don't have that, we can do marshmallow fenugreek. There's a whole bunch of things we can do antiviral, but notice I've written all these things down here at the bottom that talk about viral or viruses. Those are things that are available to you. Oregano is awesome. Now I'm going to put a big highlight on this last part. If these are to ever get severe, there's one that we can do that's absolutely phenomenal. I got my hands in front of my face. Sorry, guys. There's one that's called Pawpaw. Pawpaw is one that maybe every household should have. It's one that if you were to take and have on hand, it is probably, I use this for, I gotta be careful what I'm saying here. I use this for some of the most chronic conditions you can possibly think of. It may be one of the most strongest antivirals out there, but it has to be in conjunction with other things. So what would I do? If things got really severe in my home, and I was really concerned about the things that were going on, I would want to make sure that I have Pawpaw Celrate or Pawpaw in my home, because then I can put that with olive leaf extract, or I can put that with VSC or fenugreek, and I know that I can tackle about any case, even to a point of, anyway, you guys, I got to be careful what I say. Yes, man, it's like I want to say so many things, but I know this can go out there. Anyway, so that is one of the best things you can do as far as having it in your home, as far as a precaution or backup. I mean, there's so many, there's so many properties that go with this. Okay. As far as infection, guys, echinacea. Whoops, did we lose everybody?
No, we lost you. I think you must have hit.
Oh, did I hit something?
Use the mouse to.
What did we do?
You got rid of the video. There we go.
Oh, sorry, guys. I lost me or someone. As far as infections, garlic, excellent antibiotic. Okay. Echinacea, excellent. Remember, echinacea can only be taken for a short period of time. Anything longer than 21 days, you're causing harm to yourself. So don't take echinacea any longer than that, because it can elevate a white blood count. Guess what? Herbs don't work, guys. It can elevate a white blood count. That shows you how it does. It can elevate a white, I shouldn't say that, but it elevates a white blood count. And the one thing we don't want to do is we don't want to throw your body's immune responses off by taking echinacea too long. So you always want to make sure you do a reset with echinacea. If you take echinacea, don't take it any longer than 21 days. Give yourself a reset period, like about a week, and then you go right back on that echinacea. You can use that as far as the antibiotic. Garlic we talked about, even on the bottom of the feet. The other thing is golden seal. Golden seal is amazing. But remember, guys, with golden seal, it can lower blood sugar. It has the properties of a natural insulin. So people that have diabetic tendencies, guess what? It's one of your favorite, because it could be something that if you're ever in a situation where you couldn't get insulin, it is a backup, okay? But remember, golden seal will actually lower blood sugar. So if you have to take something with golden seal as a natural antibiotic, make sure that you have like some spirulina, which will do great. Or make sure that you have something like some licorice root, just to bring that glucose up a little bit so we're not causing a blood sugar drop or a low blood sugar. As far as some of the combinations, there's echinacea golden seal, an awesome combination that works out there. Immune stimulator, unless we have an autoimmune disorder. Okay, INX is phenomenal. IFC, we have IFC, a Chinese combination, acronym for infection, inflammation, heat. Okay, excessive heat, IFC works with that. All right. Lymph gland cleanse, again, we talked about. Now, let me talk about lymph gland cleanse really quick before we open this up. With that lymph gland cleanse, you're going to have one that says HY. That stands for hypoglycemia, which is a low blood sugar. Instead of having golden seal in it, it has one that's called myrrh. Anybody remember that? Remember the three things that was given as a gift to our Savior? Well, guess what? Myrrh is one of the natural antibiotics that's out there. So myrrh is excellent as a natural antibiotic. That is in your HY. When you do the lymph gland cleanse HY. When you do just regular lymph gland cleanse, it has golden seal in it, and that's your natural antibiotic. Okay? So just know the difference between those two so that you make sure that you're paying attention to your blood sugar. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, everyone, Oregon grape. Oregon grape. Number one, if you have strep throat, if you put echinacea with Oregon grape, it's amazing what it can do with strep throat. Oregon grape is absolutely the master of strep throat. Okay, but guess what? This is something that with this virus we have going around, we know that there's an infection that goes with it. We have the things like eucalyptus, we have tea tree, we have the wild, that's wild, you know what, we have wild orange down there, typo, my mistake, I didn't proofread, we've been so crazy I didn't proofread. That's wild oregano, okay, all right. Guardian is great, These is great, On Guard is great as far as essential oils. Remember, oregano is a natural antibiotic and it's a natural antiviral as well too, all right? Okay, now I'm gonna wrap this up again at the bottom. All this is dependent on hydration. We remember this, that nothing is gonna work without first making sure that you're doing your best as far as fluids. If you're not hydrating yourself, we've already depleted our potential of our nutrients. So you want to make sure you're doing your very best. I have one, and I'm going to tell you this. It's like I have this at my office. This thing is called Liquid IV, and I brought this out for a reason, because you can pick this, or at least you used to. I don't know if you can get it now, even at your Costco's, okay? This stuff is amazing. This is something I use as far as my workout, my pre-workouts, as far as hydration, recovery, different things like that. This stuff is amazing. But guess what, you guys? If you're having a hard time keeping water down, if you feel like water goes right through you, why does this work? Okay, now I am going to tell you, just heads up, there's a little bit of sugar. It's a pure suger, okay? A lot of that scary. Yeah, pure cane sugar. Let's do that right. Okay, but I will tell you, this stuff is amazing. Okay. And I'm not trying to go out there and promote this or sell it, but I'm going to tell you that it can actually save lives. If any of you that have ever drank water and it feels like it just goes right through you, or it feels like you're still just, it's like your dry throat, it's like nothing seems to be hydrating, it's because your electrolytes are not balanced. And there's no way we can hydrate the body without electrolytes balancing. So if you don't have this, you can do a pack, 1 to 2 packets a day, one of these, and it tastes great. I don't know, Katie likes the...
I like the acai berry.
Kitty likes the acai. I like the lemon lime. There's a passion fruit. We even have one that has blueberry and lavender in it for sleep and hydration, guys. And it's great. Like I say, you can pick it up at your Costco's if you don't get it here. It's one that is phenomenal. So that's one. The other one is you can put a little bit of sea salt and water. That's great. I like this because it has a little bit of flavor. But generally what I talk about as far as hydration factors, if you were to take, and we can go on and we can do a whole class on hydration, but you can take and put a little bit of sea salt. What I suggest doing is for every quart of water, a half a teaspoon of sea salt. The pink Himalayan, the best, okay? Pink Himalayan to a half a gallon or to 64 ounces. I said quart, I want a quart, not a half a gallon, holy cow. Half a teaspoon to a quart, okay? Best thing, so if you don't have this, best thing. You may want to take, and if you have a little bit of potassium, that will do good to help out with electrolytes. Some of you that retain and store a lot of water, with water retention, dandelion is phenomenal. Some of you that come to my office know that and the abilities of that as well too, okay? So hydration is absolutely a must. Also another one too is magnesium is essential to help with absorption. And then I'm gonna put one last thing out there. And I didn't write this down, but one last thing that's out there, and then we're gonna open up to questions. However we're gonna do that, I'm not sure. Your respiratory system depends on the function of your bowels. If your bowels are not eliminating, first of all, hydration is a factor. If your bowels are not eliminating, we're not going to fight the upper respiratory infection and virus. If your bowels are not eliminating, we're not going to get through this the way we want to get through this. So you need to do whatever it takes to support the bowels. Magnesium is a good one. Some of you know that you can do slippery elm and cascara. They are phenomenal. If you'll take 2 slippery elm to 1 cascara, that is excellent. Most people I can take and just something simple like that, get their bowels cooperating, unless you have some kind of a problem, IBS, something like that, and you know that. The ones that are on here, we know that there's certain things we can do. That is phenomenal. Sometimes if you, and I'm gonna, one more thing with the bowels, sometimes ginger is a really good one to put with it. One thing we know, and we're gonna get really kind of drastic here as far as, anyway, too much information. A solid cannot bypass a gas. So if you're finding that you're trying all these things for your bowels, it's not working, introduce some ginger there. It'll help disperse the gas. Sage is another one as well too, but ginger is even more important, in my opinion, or even more, I like it better. It will disperse the gases so that the body can take and flush the stool and move that stool through there faster. So what I always do, and I find that most people starting out, if you were to do like 2 slippery elm, 2 ginger, and 1 cascara, do that morning and evening. 2 slippery elm, 2 ginger, and 1 cascara, morning and evening. Generally, with hydration factors, you can bring bowel back into a nice, good elimination, which is going to help eliminate this upper respiratory viral condition that's going on. I will tell you, in drastic conditions, my mentor used to freak me out, but if you get in a bad situation, enemas, they're there. If you have a fever that won't break, a catnip enema is one of the best things, okay? So you can put 3 or 4 capsules to a bag of enema, and you can actually take and break a fever with that. It does amazing in dire situations if needed to, okay? So I'm not going to go into a whole lot of bowel support. A lot of you know your bowels well enough. Great way to end this, right? Know your bowels well enough. Magnesium is great. You keep adding magnesium until the bowel finally starts to eliminate. And what I always suggest with magnesium, it's increasing your magnesium right up to the point that you're almost into diarrhea, and then back off 1 tablet or capsule, which is about 250 milligrams. And that's what your body needs of magnesium to support the hydration to the bowel or to get the fluid to the bowel. Some of you can't do that because it causes a lot of the bowel cramping. So cramp relief, ginger will help a lot with that cramping. In fact, ginger is one of the best ones at gripping and cramping. All right. So without going too much longer, I want to spend this last half hour or so doing what we need to make sure that we can help out and answer questions. So yeah, so I'll have Katie read me some questions, and I'll do my best to answer and see if I can help out with this.
So email me your questions real quick. I'm looking at the email right now. So if you have any questions, just shoot me an email.
I guess
it's support, SUPPORT, at milestheiguy.com. You can add in LBS and gentlemen.
Yes. Another good one is great. Katie just reminded me. Some of you that can't handle cascara, I would do my best to avoid senna. Anything that has senna in it causes more gripping or cramping. But then other ones that will take and help out too, as far as the bowels, where we're getting questions coming in, are LBS, which is great, LBX, which is great, as far as Nature Sunshine, Gentle Move is awesome. It's a still softener. For a lot of you that have tendencies to have really hypersensitive bowels, Gentle Move does really good. It's based out of a magnesium factor, but the way they put that together, you don't have near the negative responses as far as that's concerned, as far as the gripping. Okay, so Gentle Move does great. So LBS2 can replace Cascara. LBX can replace Cascara. Gentle Move might even help out along with it. So there's things, a lot of you know some of the things that you have going on. There's different things that you worked with before that you might have an idea, that you can add to that to help the bowel out. Okay, so do we have anything to talk about?
I guess if you want to ask a question here on the video, down at the bottom of your screen, there should be a raise your hand option. I'll try and watch for who's raising their hand.
Guys, as we're waiting for questions here, and I know there's probably some of them, and listen, no question's a bad question here. The most important thing, you guys, is don't panic. If there's for any reason that you don't have what it is that we have here, if there's any reason that you don't have it, then say that you don't have the seasonal defense or you don't have the olive leaf or something like that. There's so many other things we can take and replace it with as an antiviral. So if you don't have these, then let me know so I can help you out, which would be another good one. And when I say that, and I'm not saying don't have it, I mean, honestly, with our seeds that we can get right now, we're doing our best to get. I have some on hand. So many of the companies are back ordered, but right now it's crazy because we're trying to do our best to get everything out there to make sure that you guys have what you need. I've got people that, this is what I suggest. Do your very, very best. And I don't want to create a hoarding factor or anything like that, but do your best to do what you need to support your family with an antiviral right now. Okay? Something you can do on a daily basis, an antiviral to protect you and your family. And whether that be an olive leaf extract, whether that be a BSC, whether you take that olive leaf extract and BSC and put it with something for the respiratory system, you can do those two and do like a seasonal defense or a combination 4 or Chinese lung support. Those would be great right now for your antivirals right now, you guys. If you have an immune deficiency, if you guys know that you have complications, this is really, really important to you, okay? You know that if you have health issues or challenges, this is extremely important to you. So get on the antivirals, get on whatever it is that you need to protect yourself. If we can't get it for you, so obviously do what we need to get your orders in right away so we can help you out. I will tell you, a lot of you will try to order from Nature Sunshine and you're not going to get it right now.
There's a lot of things that are back ordered.
Okay. As you heard, Katie, there's a lot of things that are back ordered right now. Some of those things we do have, so check with us. Okay. If we can't get them, I will help steer you in a way that we can do something different than that to help you guys out as far as you and your family. So one thing we don't want to do is panic on this. Okay. There's so many options that we have out there. All right. Do you have any hands or anything like that? Or any questions?
No. If you send me an email tonight, I'll try and keep an eye on it tonight, and I'll forward these to Miles. And we'll just try and get them answered as quick as we can. So even if you don't get anything before we get off, we'll get questions answered as best we can.
All right, you guys. Hey, you know what? We want you to know we appreciate and love you guys. Our number one goal here with the Ag Guy is to do our very best to give you guys everything you need to keep your families healthy, keep your families on the positive side of this. My favorite part about this is the fact that we're out there helping so many people, and guess what? We're gonna fare through this and do just great with this. And so the one thing is to not panic. Okay, and I've said that 100 times, but that's not important. Yes, take it serious because it is serious. There's a lot of things out there that's extremely concerning, extremely scary. There's things that we don't know, but if we do those simple things, we're going to be okay. Everything's going to be fine. I mean, we have information out there that's helping us. I mean, the other thing that I wanted to tell you is a lot of people are saying, well, now we don't even need to go into this. Just go into the simple things. Do those simple things. You guys know washing your hands, bathing, doing those different things, are going to make a difference in all this. Social distancing is going to make a difference. If you stress or if you're anxious, make sure that you're doing what you need to support your nervous system so that we're not causing more stress to your families. Okay? Because if you start getting stressed, then your family start getting stressed. And if your family start getting stressed, your immune system declines. Your immune system declines, then we have a bigger problem. So do whatever you need to take care of yourself. Let us help you out. If you run into any challenges or anything, we're still going to be there for you. Even if we don't have the office open for you to come in to where we can actually help you like we have been in the past, we're going to be able to take in Zoom. We're going to be able to take, just like we're doing right now, to help you through these different things. We're going to be able to take and get supplements out to where you can pick them up for you. We're going to be okay on this. So anyway, here at the iGuide, we just want to tell you guys how much we love you, how much we appreciate you, and how grateful we are for the opportunity to be able to be part of your family and help out with you guys in creating the best health we can, optimizing everything. And so thanks again. We wish you the best with everything that's going on. And again, we'll talk to you shortly. Wish you the best and have a great night. Oh, we got one raised hand. Here we go.
Okay, Lindsay, I'm going to unmute you. Maybe. Okay, Lindsay, go ahead.
Just a couple of questions, just because there are a lot of them on back order, but are there any specifics for pregnancy?
Yes. So that's a great question, Lindsay. So with that, some people are like, well, if I'm pregnant, should I be worried about some of these different things? Here's the thing. Everything that we have on here tonight, Lindsay, you can take while you're pregnant without any problems. Okay. I made sure that I did exactly what I needed to make sure that if we're dealing with pregnancy, if we're dealing with anything like that, we're not going to have an issue. Now, the one thing I will tell you though, seasonal defense can be a little bit challenging in the fact that with the oregano in there, sometimes that's a little bit strong, which can cause with pregnancy, like a little bit of heartburn, different things like that. So I would probably veer from the seasonal defense. Not saying you can't take it, but just don't take large amounts with it, okay? Olive leaf extract probably would be my choice. BSC, probably my choice, okay? Those two would be my very best choices for you as far as an antiviral. And then as far as a respiratory support, as far as a preventative, then I would do, if it was me, I would do the combination 4. And if you do the olive leaf, the combination 4, and the BSC in combination 4, those would probably be the best choice. And if you can't get those, then we can still do the Chinese lung support, do great with that. Those would be my suggestions there.
Thank you so much.
Yep. Did that help out? Do you have other questions? Anything that I know that we got some pregnant moms on here. So congratulations, even though it might be scary. There's a lot of awesome things, guys. We're going to be all right. Any other questions you have?
We are going to be posting this Zoom call on Facebook. I sent everybody a link to that in an email this afternoon. So check your spam boxes, just look for it, watch for it. If you don't see that email that I sent you this afternoon, it had the worksheet that we've been using tonight. It also has a link to our Facebook group where we're going to be posting this. If you want to refer back to it later, tell your friends about it. You can invite them to the group. This will be available for you to watch later. And
your families. I'm going to finish with one last thing, just because I want to make sure that we're all in good shape. I mean, I know that Lindsay asked the question, which I really appreciate her. She's one of our anyway, she's in the health or the medical field. She's very up on things that are going on. So here's the thing I want to do is, number one, I want to go back and just give you also if you are on a Mayo inhibitor, if you're on the antidepressant and anti-anxiety, make sure you stay away from the kava kava. I want to finish with that again. Stay away from that. If you have autoimmune disorders, I want you to stay away from the trigger immune stimulator, and Thymj. Those 3 things, okay? Oh, and astragalus. Astragalus and echinacea with a singular. Okay, let me go through those again. There's 5, okay? Let's go through the single ones. Astragalus, if you have autoimmune disorder, avoid that. Echinacea, if you have an autoimmune disorder, avoid that. Thymj, avoid. Trigger immune, avoid. An immune stimulator. Is that 5? Okay. So those are the ones you want to avoid. Kava kava, if you're on a Mayo inhibitor, anti-anxiety, avoid that. And remember, last thing, if you have tendencies towards low blood sugar, be cautious with the golden seal. Okay. Other than that, guys, They'll have that, and I had to do my best to make sure that I did things that you could go out there, that I don't have. When I write all this stuff up, you guys, I want to do everything I can to make sure that we prevent any type of complications that we might run into out there. So I tried to do it so that in a way that you could take this stuff without having any stresses or concerns or causing any harm or challenges to people. But there's some of those things that I have to be, there's a few of them that I had to be a little bit cautious with, but I figured if I take it, throw them out there. The only one that probably really would make me nervous out of all these things, even with the herbs out there, would be the Mayo inhibitors with the kava and also the anti-anxieties. That is actually my biggest concern with all of them. The rest of them, we could actually, yeah, we want to avoid the THIM-J, but we can still do a little bit. Yeah, we want to avoid the immune stimulator with autoimmune disorder. We can still do a little bit. See what I'm saying? There's some of those we can still do, but it's just that one, that kava. And I almost hesitated to put that on there, but you know what? There might be a severe situation that we might need that, and I wanted that available to you. All right, you guys, have a great night. Appreciate you all. Hope this helps out. Again, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to call, to text or call or email us so we can help you out. We're looking forward to doing whatever we can to help you out. We're going to get through this, guys. We're going to do great. So we love you all. Have a great night, and we'll talk to you later.